then it's gonna be alright. Then it's gonna be alright. When the road feels heavy and your feet are tired and every small dream feels too far away, remember every storm has a season. It never stays, it never stays. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yeah. Breathe in hope, let your heart keep beating. Every step you take is leading you home. Hold on tight to the light inside you. You're not alone. You're not alone. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yeah. Everything is gonna be.
Yes, Hamjambo familia. Welcome to the BlackHotFire Network Swahili classes for the weekend. I do hope that everyone is doing fantastic, and I thank you so much for being together with us on this particular day, the 13th day of June, the year 2026. And on every other weekend, we get to connect and dance Swahili together on Saturdays and Sundays around this particular time. So feel free. You are free to interject and ask a question at any point. You can also, or maybe perhaps, feel free to reach out. In case you want a copy of the notes, I would be glad to share them with you as well. So welcome. My name is Pikes, and in case you're joining us for the very first time, in Swahili we do say karibu, which simply means welcome. And if I were to emphasize, I would say karibu sana, which is just a way of saying you're very much welcome, and you can feel free and comfortable to be with us on this particular segment where we learn Swahili together. I always remind us that we have so many languages on the continent. If you go to Ethiopia, maybe perhaps you'd find about 81 languages. If you went to Cameroon, you might find about 150 languages. If you went to Rwanda, you might find about 3 languages. But all these languages, none of them is more prolific than Swahili. And that is why we have chosen to embark on this particular journey of teaching Swahili. And someone might ask, why is it that you guys have chosen Swahili? I'm saying that the language has over 150 million speakers on and off the continent, and the number is also growing. So maybe perhaps in the next 5 years, you might find about maybe 250 million speakers of the language, which is actually something promising. If you talk about African unity, you have to look at the language, and language is also a gateway into the culture. If you're trying to explore the culture of a people, one of the best ways to do that is to find out what their language is like, and maybe perhaps also engage in communicating with them in their own language. Maybe perhaps if you take a tour and go to a place, maybe perhaps such as Tanzania, or maybe perhaps go to Rwanda, or maybe perhaps go to the DRC or Uganda, or come to Kenya, you are able to communicate with this particular language. If you are maybe perhaps just new to a place and you're trying to say hello to a group of people, you would simply do so by saying Hamjambo. For example, if I just go to class and I'm trying to say hello to every one of you, I would say Hamjambo, and you guys would respond and say Hatujambo, because that is the right way to respond to someone who is saying hello to you. If it is to an individual, the best way to say hello to an individual would be Hujambo, and that individual would respond and say, the individual would ask Hujambo, and the one who is responding, they would say Sijambo. That is exactly how they would say. They would say Sijambo, and that is simply the way you get to say hello to people. And you simply introduce yourself by saying Jina langu, which is my name. You might maybe perhaps say jina langu ni Spikes, or jina langu ni Alex, or jina langu ni George, or jina langu ni Mary, or jina langu ni Susan. Whatever your name is, you'd say jina langu ni, and then insert your name there. So you'd say maybe perhaps jina langu ni Susan, jina langu ni Alex, whatever your name is, you can put that in your name there, and you would be at a good place in terms of introducing your name. Maybe perhaps you might say I am from. Maybe perhaps if you're from Nairobi, like myself, you would say nimetoka, which is I am from nimetoka Nairobi, which is I am from Nairobi. If you maybe perhaps saying you're coming from Chicago, you would say nimetoka Chicago, or nimetoka Dallas, or nimetoka wherever you might be from, Dallas, Senegal, Dakar, anywhere, you would say nimetoka this and that. And if you're trying to tell people that you're pleased to be there or you're pleased to meet them, you would say nina furaha kuwaona, which is I am happy to see you people. And this is actually when you introduce yourself and say I'm happy to see you or I'm pleased to see you. Furaha is a Swahili word for it's a noun which means joy or happiness. So joy and happiness, that is the same word. You would say furaha, and therefore if you point to self, the first person singular, you would say ni, which point to self, I. Nina furaha. The na is for the present continuous, which is a tense marker for the present continuous tense. So therefore you would say nina furaha kuwaona, which is the ku. The ku simply shows the verb in action. So if you're talking about kuwaona, let me just put it down. If someone says nina furaha kuwaona, if you talk about kuwaona, this is simply for to see you, to see you. So anytime the syllable ku is used as a prefix for the root verb, it just shows that the verb is in action. That is exactly what the ku means. So the syllable ku simply shows the verb in action. It shows the verb. It shows the verb in action. The verb in action. So, for example, if you're talking about sleeping, the root verb for sleep is lala. The root verb for sleep, it's lala. And if someone was to say kulala, if someone says kulala, if someone says lala, they simply mean to sleep. To means to sleep. To sleep. So the ku can also be equated to sleep. The ku can also be equated to two. That is exactly what it means. If you do say kuimba, so kuimba means to sing. Kuimba. Imba means to sing. Imba is a root verb. It means to sing. But if someone says kuimba, the syllable ku, it simply is to show that the verb is in action. It means to sing. It means to sing. It means to sing. If someone says kutembea, tembea is a root verb. Tembea means visit. Tembea, it simply means visit. Tembea means visit. Tembea means visit. Tembea means visit. Tembea means visit. But if someone says kutembea, so the ku shows the verb in action. Kutembea, that means to visit. To, that is equated to visit. To visit. And if someone says, if you remember from our previous class, we have said that if anyone says, uses the phrase ninataka, this is a phrase, the phrase ninataka, this is a phrase which means I want. It means I want. It means I. The ni, you do use the syllable ni to point to I, or the first person singular. I want. I want. So if I said ninataka, I want to visit, I want to visit. Therefore, that would be ninataka, ninataka, tembea, ninataka kutembea. So if someone says ninataka kutembea mjini, that simply means I want to go to the city. If someone says ninataka kutembea kijijini, it means I want to go to the village. But there is those two syllables, the syllable ku and also the syllable ni. That is very important. If you're looking at showing a verb in action, you use the syllable ku as a prefix for the root verb. You might say ku lala, then you might say ku imba, you might say ku imba, which means to sing. You might say ku keti, ku, so the syllable ku, you would say kuketi, ku keti. Keti is a root verb, so if you say kuketi, it simply means to sit, So it shows that the verb is in action. Kuketi, which simply means to sit. It means to sit. But nonetheless, you can also realize that we have talked about the syllable ni. The syllable ni points to self. It points to I. So if you say ninataka, it means I want. If you say ningependa, it means I would like. If you say ninaenda, it means I am going. If you say ninakula, it means I am eating. So the ni comes before the tense marker. So you do point to self, then you use the tense marker, and then after the tense marker, you use the root verb. So you say ninakula. So the ni is for I, the na is for the present continuous, and then kula is a root verb, which is ni nakula. That would be I am eating. Today we shall pick up from where we left off last weekend, and we shall be going into understanding of what we have as a pronouns. And for the pronouns, they are known as the wakilishi because they represent the nouns. So if we're talking about a noun, for example, you might talk about someone, maybe a friend of yours called George. If George is him, but you want to represent him in a noun pronoun, you would say yeye, yeye. So therefore, the word wakilisha, it simply means to represent. And pronouns, they represent the nouns. For example, you're talking about personal pronouns. And these are pronouns that, they represent people. For example, the first person pronoun, the second person pronoun, and also the third person pronoun. For the first person, I've already given you an example. For example, I or myself, this is the first person, and this is the first person singular. You might also talk about the first person plural, which is we. You might also go into the second person. The second person is you. So if you're talking about you, that is a second person singular. That is a second person singular. But if you look at the third person is actually they. And from these notes here, you can say, if you're talking about them, you would say they. For example, they are going, then you would mean wale wanaenda, or wao wanaenda. That is exactly how you would say it. So they are personal pronouns. There are different types of pronouns. But for the sake of us in this class, you can understand about the personal pronouns. And the personal pronouns for the first person, I, that can also be represented by, it can also be represented by mimi. Mimi, for example, if I did say, mimi sitaki chakula, then that would be, I do not want food. I do not want food. We have talked about the consonant, the syllable C. The syllable C is simply used to negate. It is used to negate any kind of from a positive to a negative. So if we do say mimi, mimi is for I. Mimi points to I or me. So if we do say mimi sitaki chakula, then that would be I do not want food. I do not want food. So if we talk about the personal pronouns, we have mimi, or mimi. You can also substitute that with ni. Mimi is also I. It can also be represented by the syllable ni. If you're talking about the first person plural, which is wingi, in Swahili we do say wingi. In Swahili we do say wingi. I don't know if you remember last week when we were talking about qualitative words. We did say that if you're talking about chakula is food. If we did say chakula kidogo, then that would be just a little bit amount of food, chakula kidogo. But if you're talking about a lot of food, you would say chakula mingi, because mingi is for the plural. Mingi is simply for the plural. So that is exactly how you would put it across, and mingi simply is for the plural. Mingi is simply for the plural. But if you're talking about the plural over the first person plural, then you would say sisi. You would actually say sisi. Let me share that with you. You would say sisi, and these are the notes right here. I think I'll send a link. These a link over this PDF so that you can also get to check it out. I'll share with you a link over this particular PDF. But I am saying, if you try and talk about yourself, the pronoun for yourself is mimi, or it can be represented by me. If you're talking about we as a plural, you would say sisi. You would say sisi. For we as the plural, you would say sisi. And it can also be represented by tu. For example, you might say tu naenda shule. Tu naenda shule. Tunaenda shule simply means we are going to school. But if I did say ni naenda shule, ni, the syllable ni, it represents the first person singular, the I. It represents the first person singular. So if I did say ni naenda shule, ni naenda shule, ni naenda shule, it simply means I am going to school. I am going to school. So I don't know if you get it to that particular point. I do hope that you get it. But if you're talking about maybe perhaps now in a sentence, giving these particular words, examples in a sentence, then you would say mimi, which is I, mimi ninaitwa Jeremy. Mimi ninaitwa Jeremy, which is my name is Jeremy or I am called Jeremy. But if you're talking about the first person plural, then you would say sisi. You would say sisi. So therefore you would say sisi tunaitwa Jeremy. Sisi tunaitwa Jeremy. All we are called Jeremy, or our names are Jeremy. Our names are Jeremy. And that is simply the way you present that. If you're talking about the second person you do say you or wewe. You or wewe. For example, you have to go home. You have to go home. And that will be wewe lazima uende nyumbani. Lazima uende nyumbani. But remember, if you're talking about maybe perhaps ways of getting to talk about you, it is also represented by u. It is also represented by u. And in our previous class, we were talking about the vowels. In our previous class, we did talk about the vowels, and if you look at the vowels, you realize that. Let me see if I'm able to stop sharing these. Okay, I'm able to. So if you look at the vowels, you realize that you have the vowel u. I told you can represent the vowels. You can talk about the vowels, and you can represent them with your hand like this. So if you put up your palm like this, you can represent that with. You can represent your fingers. You can represent the vowels with your fingers. So for example, and that would be a, the vowel a, the vowel e, the vowel e, the vowel o, and the vowel u, the final vowel u. So if you put up your hand like this, then you can represent the 5 vowels with your palm. You can represent them with your palm, very, very easy. So that will be a, e, o, u. Those are the 5 vowels. So if you're talking about representing, you're talking about the vowel u, I was saying that it has a special place because the vowel u represents the second person singular. It represents you. The vowel u represents you. So you might say u naenda shule, and that would be you are going to school, because that would be u naenda shule, unaenda shule, unaenda shule, and that would be you are going to school, you are going to school, you are going to school, you are going to school. That is exactly how you would represent it. You would represent it in that regard. You would say u naenda shule. You might say u naenda shule, and that is exactly how you would represent it. So it is not difficult. What you need to remember is that that is the vowel u. That is actually the vowel u, and you might say u naenda shule. U naenda shule. That would be you are going home. You are going home. That is u unaenda shule. U unaenda nyumbani. Sorry, unaenda shule. I'm getting myself confused. But nonetheless, we shall be taking a short break. And please feel free, if you have a question, tafadhali uliza. Kama uko na swali, tafadhali uliza. Feel free to ask. You can always ask any question. If you do have a question, please ask. Kama uko na swali, tafadhali uliza. If you have a question, please ask. If you do have a question, kindly ask. Kama uko na swali tafadhali uliza. I was just saying that when you put your palm like this, you can always represent these 5 vowels: the A, the E, the E, the O, and the U. And I was just saying that the vowel U, it holds a special place because for the vowel U represents the second person singular. It represents you. For example, U nakula chakula, that will be you are eating food. U nakula chakula, that will be you are eating food. If I'm talking about U naenda shule, that will be you are going to school. So therefore, the vowel U holds a very, very special place because we're talking about it represents it acts as a pronoun, and this pronoun represents the second person singular. The second person singular. We also talked about last time that the vowel E is also very, very important because it represents the third person. Sorry, it represents the third person singular. Because if you say E nakula chakula, for example, if I did say E, so the vowel E is an English letter I. The Swahili vowel E is an English letter I. So if I did say E nakula chakula, inakula chakula. So the E represents it. It represents it is eating. It is eating. It is eating food. So the E becomes it. The E becomes it. E nakula chakula, then that would be it is eating food. For example, there's a bird outside, or there's a dog, or there's a cat. And we're talking about the cat is eating food, we might say E nakula chakula, E nakula chakula, and that is exactly how you would say it. So this is Saturday Swahili class on the BlackHotFire Network, and as always, I want to welcome you to keep it interactive. If you do have a question, do not hesitate to ask. You can ask. I'll be more than glad to respond to your question. If not, you can also share your view or maybe perhaps a feedback. Let me share with you the link of the class for today. This is for the notes. If you're looking for the Swahili class notes, then that is it exactly right there. And I am saying that we are learning about pronouns for today. That is our focus for today. And these are the pronouns. So if we talk about learning Swahili and learning it in a very, very easy way, there are so many tools, and and these tools, they are available. These are online resources. You can find them anywhere. Online resources you can find anywhere, and they are available. For example, on the archives of our YouTube classes. If you search for Saturday Swahili class or Sunday Swahili class on BlackHotFire, it will pop up on YouTube, and you can refer to that. There's also the apps. You know, if you look at the Duolingo app, you can find direct translations of words from English to Swahili, or from Swahili to English. And therefore, the Duolingo app is also a very, very important tool that you can get to adopt and use. And the most important is you having to practice. Because you always do say that practice makes perfect. And therefore, if you're trying to just become perfect at the language, it is very, very important for you to make sure that you're practicing so that you can get better at the language. You can engage your colleagues, you can engage your family members, you can engage your, your friends, anyone, because Swahili is a mode of communication. A language is a mode of communication, and you're trying to communicate with people, and therefore you have to engage others in that particular journey as well. And it is not difficult. I think every other time you think about any language, you have to set apart some time for getting to learn that. And that is basically what is very, very important for you to be able to, spark that interest and have an interest in learning the language. And not just an interest, but also go ahead and learn the language actually itself. And that is why I do believe it is very, very much important. Anyone with a question, tafadhali Eliza, if kama uko na swali. Kama uko na swali simply means if you have a question. Swali means a question. Swali is a question. Is a question. So if anyone has a question, please ask. Kama uko na swali, tafadhali uliza. I will be more than glad to respond to your question. I will be happy to respond to your question. I would be more than glad to respond to any question. If not, I shall take a short break. I shall enjoy some music. And this is a song known as Tabasamu Lako. Tabasamu Lako simply means your smile. Tabasamu is a smile. So if I do say Lako, Lako means yours. So your smile would be Tabasamu Lako. Let me know what you think about this particular one. But for me, I think it's jamming. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular one. It's known as Tabasamu Lako.
Nilikona tu moyo ukasema wewe ndiye jua la asubuhi. Kila unapotabasamu dunia inacheza na kifua changu kinapata amani. Macho yako yananiita taratibu, nikamwambia moyo leo kahapa. Usinifiche lile tabasamu lako, inaniinua juu, moyo wangu unacheza, ukinitazama tu ninayeyuka, baby. Tabasamu lako inawasha moyo wangu. Tabasamu lako ni zawadi ya furaha, nikikuona tu nafurahi sana. Tabasamu lako baby, tabasamu lako. Ukimcheka maua ufunguka, na harufu ya mapenzi inarudi. Mikono yangu utaka kukushika, tusitembe pole pole pamoja. Kila siku nawe ni sherehe, na kila dakika inakuwa tamu. Usinifichie lile tabasamu lako, inaniinua juu, moyo wangu unacheza, ukinitazama tu ninayeyuka, baby. Tabasamu lako linawasha moyo wangu. Tabasamu lako ni zawadi ya furaha, nikikuona tu nafurahi sana. Tabasamu lako baby, tabasamu lako. Leo tuko pamoja, mikono imeshikana, na ndoto zetu zimevaa rangi. Nikikuangalia nahisi kesho itakuwa nzuri zaidi. Endelea kunichekea, nisahau dunia. Tabasamu lako linawasha moyo wangu. Tabasamu lako ni zawadi ya furaha, nikikuona tu nafurahi sana. Tabasamu lako baby, tabasamu lako.
Yes, that is a beautiful song, and it goes by the name Tabasamu Lako. Tabasamu Lako simply means your smile, and if you're talking about maybe perhaps love in Swahili, you would say pendo. For example, if you're talking about your love, then you would say pendo lako. And the thing is, if you're talking about now the word love, but now in terms of a verb, you would say penda. Penda is the verb. Love, the verb. But if you're talking about love, the noun, you would say noun. The noun would be pendo. So someone says pendo lako. Pendo is for love. Pendo is for love. So therefore, if someone is talking about your love, then they would say pendo lako. They would say pendo lako. And if someone is talking about I would like or I would love to have some tea, if someone says I would love to have some tea, then they would say the phrase is ningependa kunywa chai, which is ningependa ningependa. Then this is where you put the verb ningependa kunywa chai kidogo. Kidogo simply means a small amount. So if someone says I would like, I would love to have, or drink some little tea, That is exactly how you would put it across. And maybe perhaps you're at a cafe, and if someone is pointing at you and they simply want to know, what would you like to have? What would you like to eat? What would you like to eat? Last weekend, we were learning about asking questions in Swahili. And we did say that if you're talking about what, we do say nini. What, we would simply say nini. What? We simply say nini. So if someone is asking you, what will you eat? What will you eat? You went to a diner, you went to a cafe, a local restaurant, a hotel, they're asking you, or the waitress or the waiter is asking, what would you like to eat? Then they would ask, utakula nini? Utakula nini? U is the vowel, and it points to you, the second person singular. So utakula nini? That would be, what will you eat? What will you eat? Utakula nini? What will you eat? Utakula nini becomes what will you eat? Becomes what will you eat? And that is exactly how you get to ask someone what they will eat. So therefore, that would be utakula nini, and that would be what will you eat? What will you eat? And it is not difficult. I think it's just a matter of practicing. And we always do say that practice makes perfect. And you talk about also getting to have an interest, in just communicating the language. I did say that Swahili is a beautiful language. It has 5 vowels, the R, A, E, O, U. Swahili does not have the consonants X and Q. So we do not have X and Q in the Swahili language. But all the letters of the English alphabet can be found in Swahili, apart from X and Q. So we do not have X and Q. And then we also do have what we call the special class of consonants. For the special class of consonants, they do include the CH, for example, in the word chakula, the SH, for example, in the word shukuru. If someone is thanking you, they would say shukuru. Shukuru means to thank. It is the action of thank. Someone says kushukuru, it means to thank. The SH is a special class of consonant. The CH, the DH, for example, in the word dhahabu, dhahabu simply means gold. So if someone says kiti cha dhahabu, then that means a golden chair. Kiti cha dhahabu, then that would mean a golden chair. But that is a DH. We talked about last week about the NG with an apostrophe. For the NG with an apostrophe, that simply is, for example, in the word ng'ombe. Ng'ombe means a cow. You might say ngoa. Ngoa means to uproot. And you might also say ng'ang'ana. Ng'ang'ana means to struggle. It means to strive or to struggle. Therefore, that would be ng'ang'ana. Ng'ang'ana is exactly how you would say it. And that is, it's very, very easy. It becomes quite easy if someone is talking about ng'ang'ana. Ng'ang'ana. If someone says ng'ang'ana kidogo, means strive a little bit. Strive a little bit. Up to that particular point, does anyone have a question? Today we are learning about pronouns once again. And we do have our notes. I have shared with you a link of the notes in case you want to refer to them at your own personal time and just be able to digest them further. You are free to do so. You can visit that particular link. It has a page. And on this particular page, you can get a breakdown. You'll get a breakdown of the pronouns on there. We have talked about personal pronouns. The personal pronouns, these are Mimi for I. These are Sisi, Sisi for we. For we do say Sisi. Or if you're talking about I, you might also say Ni. The syllable Ni also represents I. The syllable tu, it represents we, or it represents Sisi. It represents Sisi. Sometimes it might be difficult, and if you're interacting with the language for the very first time, you might be thinking, what is this dude talking about? What is this guy talking about? What is this and that is talking about? That is what you might be asking. But if you talk about the second person is wewe, or you might say nyinyi, nyinyi, nyinyi. Nyinyi is for you. The second person is nyinyi is for you, but now nyinyi is for the second person plural. The second person plural, we do say nyinyi. For the second person plural, we do say nyinyi, and it is not even difficult. It is actually very, very easy, but it takes time, and for you to internalize these things, you might just need to do a little bit more practice, and with practice, you become much better, and that is exactly what you need to do. Remember, we do have the official network website. It's www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. And please make sure that you visit the official network website. And you can be able to listen to the radio stream on the network. So let me share with you how it looks like. And you can just get a gist of what I'm talking about. So this is the official network website, and you are always free to. For example, if you click on the live radio, you can enjoy the live radio right there, and just listen to wonderful, wonderful music, some wonderful R&B, some wonderful pop, a whole lot of wonderful vibes. Yes, that is a song, one of my favorite songs that was sampled by that was Mick Mill and Ty Dolla Sign. They sampled that particular jam. The name of the song is whatever you need. I think that is the name of the song. Whatever you need by Mick Mill and Ty Dolla Sign. It is actually a beautiful vibe. But the original sample, it took it from this particular one. So on the network website, you can enjoy African news. You can enjoy business and economy news. You can enjoy entertainment, health and eco news. You can enjoy opinion and politics, sports, technology. You can also be able to click on these and go to the sports store. We do have the BlackHotFire Network sports store, and you can patronize the network and get yourself maybe some nutritional products and some supplements. For example, the amino acid and blends, the beauty supplements, the food and beverages. There's a whole lot of beautiful items that you can find on this particular platform, and it would be wonderful for you to actually get them, buy some of them, and actually have them delivered to your place. Even for the soaps, you will get them. For the multivitamin bear gummies, you can get them for just $19. If we're talking about the green superfood, you can get it for $35. The complete multivitamin, you can get it for $32. And there's a whole lot of wonderful, wonderful items. Even the Roshi butter, which is for $20. Arrow and cool cucumber soap, just for $8. A whole lot of wonderful, wonderful products are listed on the network website, and therefore, feel free, welcome to patronize the platform, and it is very, very important. Once again, 5 vowels, Swahili, 5 vowels. The vowel is also very, very important. In our previous class, we were learning about, we singled out 3 vowels out of the 5. We singled out 3 vowels out of the 5, and we said can represent the second person. Can also represent the second person. And if someone says anakula chakula, so it means is for him or her. It represents the second person. It is for him or her. It represents Sorry, that is a third person. Sorry, that is a third person. I'm talking about second. That is a third person. So the vowel R can represent the third person, which is him or her. Him or her, which you can say yeye. For Swahili, Swahili is not gender specific. So for the third person, we might say yeye. For the third person, we might say yeye. And this is the third person singular. The third person singular. Yeye, it means him or her. It means him or her. Yeye, that would mean him or her. That is the third person singular. So therefore, yeye naenda shule. So the vowel a can represent him or her. The vowel a can represent the third person singular. So a. So if you're talking about the third person singular a, then that would be a naenda shule. A naenda shule. Naenda shule means he or she is going to school. But for the third person plural, you would say wa. You represent that with the syllable wa. It means they are going to school. Or wow, you can say wa, or you can say wow. You can say wow wanaenda shule, or wa wanaenda shule. It's understood to be they are going to school. So if I am talking about these particular vowels that I've talked about representing my hand, the vowel a can represent the third person, he or she. It can represent the third person, him or her. I might say, anataka chakula means he or she wants food. Anasoma gazeti means he or her is reading a newspaper. Anaketi chini means he or her is sitting down. So the third person can be represented by the vowel a. We have said the second person, which is you can be represented by the vowel u. For example, u nakula chakula, then that would be you are eating food. U naimba wimbo, it means you are singing a song. U nauliza swali, it means you are asking a question. U uliza swali, it means ask a question. So that is a very, very important point to observe. The vowel a can represent the third person singular. A nakula chakula, he or she is eating food. The vowel u can represent the second person singular. U means you. So I'm trying to underscore that particular point. I'm not sure how easy or difficult it is for you to understand it, but I just do hope that you can get to understand that. That is just my hope that you are able to understand that, and I do hope that it makes some sense. You know, some things you might be taught and you're like, Spikes, this isn't making a lot of sense to me, but you just need to follow. You know, you need to follow, and as you follow, then things start to make sense. As you follow, things start to make sense a little by a little, and that is just the way things are. So we shall take another short break. If you have a question, please feel free to ask. You can ask anything concerning the pronouns. You can ask anything concerning the vowels. You can ask anything concerning, the verb and showing the verb in action. You can ask those things because you're learning some wonderful Swahili grammar. And as always, you can also ask anything about the network, the website that I've just shown you. Anything that we have tackled or touched on, you can ask a question regarding that. And I'm more than happy to share with you the feedback. For now, we should take a short break, enjoy another beautiful song. The name of this particular song is Kama Hivi. And Kama Hivi simply means like this. Kama means like, and if you say Hivi, Hivi means this. So if someone says Kama Hivi, then it means like this. But now this particular song, it says Cheza Kama Hivi. Cheza means to play or to dance. So if someone says dance like this, they would say Cheza Kama Hivi. Cheza Kama Hivi. And let's enjoy the song. You can also rate it. Let me know if you're feeling the vibe, or if not, it's still good to share some feedback, and I would really, really appreciate that. Let me share that with you. Let me know if it's jamming or if it's not.
Nimeamka Naamka na tabasamu, moyo wangu uko sawa. Leo natembea kama maji bila pawa. Viatu chini, uchumi juu, nahitaji tu furaha. Nikipiga step pole pole, kila shida inatoweka. Acha niende mawimbi yanishike, niko fresh, niko feel, usiku nishike. Nisukume kidogo, nikeze mpaka mwisho, mikono hewani, tunaishi leo. Cheza kama hivi, maisha level yangu, sina stress mimi. Cheza kama hivi, naruka nacheza najibamba mimi. Toka juu hadi chini chini, toka juu hadi chini chini. Cheza kama hivi, maisha level yangu, sina stress mimi. Moyo wangu haukimbii, na uacha ufuate bite. Nikikanyaga pole pole, nafika bila takatifu. Mtaa unaniona leo, nikiwa na nuru usoni. Kuna raha ndani yangu, inachemka kama maji. Acha niende mawimbi yanishike, niko fresh, niko huyu, usiku nishike. Nisukume kidogo, nicheze mpaka mwisho, mikono hewani, tunaishi leo. Cheza kama hivi, maisha level yangu, sina stress mimi. Cheza kama hivi, naruka nacheza najibamba mimi. Toka juu hadi chini chini, toka juu hadi chini chini. Cheza kama hivi, maisha level yangu, sina stress mimi. Leo sipimi kesho, ninavuta pumzi moja. Mapenzi ya kawaida yanateka bila hoja. Kama unanisoma, ndio karibu taratibu. Tule furaha pamoja, bila pressure, bila tabu. Cheza kama hivi, maisha level yangu, sina stress mimi. Cheza kama hivi, naruka nacheza najibamba mimi. Toka juu hadi chini chini, toka juu hadi chini chini. Cheza kama hivi, maisha level yangu, sina stress mimi. Nilikupa moyo wangu, nilikupa kila kitu. Nikatembea na ndoto, nikakuita nyumbani. Ulinishika kwa mikono, lakini moyoni ulikuwa mbali. Sikuona hila zako, mpaka machozi yalipoanza. Sasa najua ukweli, kipande hakirudi sawa. Ukivunja chungu cha upendo, hakiwezi kuwa cha zamani. Haina maana kurekebisha moyo uliovunjika. Haina maana kama chungu kilichopasuka. Upendo ukikutana na usaliti, mimi nalia, wewe unacheka. Nilikupa roho yangu yote, lakini ulivunja kila neno. Nilipika kwa mikono yangu, nikakuletea mapenzi safi. Wewe ukaleta kivuli na ukakificha ndani ya jina lako. Nilisamehe mara nyingi, nikajiumiza kimya kimya, lakini nilipochoka, ukweli ukajitokeza. Sasa najua ukweli, kipande hakirudi sawa. Ukivunja chungu cha upendo, hakiwezi kuwa cha zamani. Haina maana kurekebisha moyo tukikutana na usaliti, mimi nalia wewe unacheka. Nilikupa roho yangu yote, lakini ulivunja kila neno. Sitamwomba kurudi tena, sitafunga.
Yes, and talking about Swahili music, it's some of the best music anywhere on the continent and even globally. And the name of that particular song is Haina Maana, and Haina simply means it doesn't have. It doesn't have. So if someone says chai haina sukari, if someone says chai haina sukari, the word haina, it means it doesn't have. Haina means it's a phrase. It doesn't have. It doesn't have. So if anyone wants to tell you chai haina sukari, chai is tea. Haina sukari, then that becomes the tea doesn't have sugar. The tea doesn't have sugar. So, but for the sake of that particular song, the name of the song is Haina Maana, and it means it doesn't have any significance or any importance. That is simply what it means. It doesn't have any significance or it doesn't have any importance. And that is just the way it is. That is just the way you would say it. So welcome back to class, and I appreciate your company. I never take your company for granted. Remember, we do have the network, the official network website. And the network website is actually www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. And once you are on the network, you are free to check out a couple of, so many wonderful items that are available. So many wonderful items that are available on the network. We do have the apparel store. The apparel store provides or presents a whole lot of wonderful items are on there. We're talking about hoodies. We're talking about sweatshirts. We are talking about bucket hats. We are talking about, a whole lot of things. You just click on the apparel store and it will take you to this particular page, and you will find these the hoodies. You will find even the BlackHotFire Rocks glass, and even the oversized tie and dye T-shirt, which looks really nice. I think this is actually pretty nice. And we also do have even the shorts. We have a BlackHotFire Network flag that you can find on there, and a whole lot of other wonderful items that you can find on the network, which is really wonderful. You can also support the network by donating. In case you just want to donate, you can click on the donations tab on there and support the BlackHotFire Network with $5, $10, $25, $30, $50, $100, whatever you might feel, or even a custom amount, whatever you might feel that you can support the network with. You are much welcome to support them with any amount. So therefore, that is how you can access the network website, and it would actually be a delight to have you being part of the BlackHotFire family. We value family right here. We value support, we value the network, and also your contribution to the conversation, because at the end of the day, what the BlackHotFire network is about is inspiring a collective African consciousness, and also inspiring a unity of our people, melanated people anywhere around the world. You're talking about South America, in Brazil. You're talking about West Africa, places such as Senegal, East Africa, Kenya, Nairobi. You're talking about the US, Canada, even in Europe. Just have that organized way of simply just inspiring unity, cooperation, and also, just progress for our people anywhere. And when we start with the language, the language is a unifying factor. That is why we do have the classes for Swahili. Language is a unifying factor. If you can speak to your brother or sister in Swahili, for example, you're not from East Africa, and you happen to come to East Africa or Central Africa, and you're able to converse with your brother and your sister right here in Swahili, it means that you are fostering better bonds. And, with the bonds, comes, there will be other things that are sprouted of that. And that is actually progress for our people. We do it in the simplest way we can. but we do it with passion, and we do it with belief that it can actually play a part in terms of unifying our people anywhere around the world. So welcome back, and now we were learning about the pronouns, and I was sharing my screen with you a little bit earlier on. Let me show you when I was sharing my screen with you here. Um, this is a lesson, and with the lesson, we have already learned about the third person as well. We have said for the third person, you might say yeye, and yeye can also be represented by the vowel a. You might say anaenda shule means he or she is going to school. If we're talking about the summary of it, for Mimi, Mimi is I. You might say Mimi sitakula chakula. That would mean I will not have some food, or I will not have some food. For we, you say we shall not have some food. You say sisi hatutakula chakula, hatutakula chakula. Or you might say hatutakula chakula, or you might say tumeshiba. And if you're talking about now, maybe perhaps in a question formation, we would say wewe unaitwa nani? Wewe unaitwa nani? Which is what is your name? Because you is represented by u. So therefore you might say, what is your name? And the response would be Mimi, which is I. Ni also points to I. Ni also points to self. Mimi ninaitwa Jeremy, which is I. I'm called Jeremy. Or my name is Jeremy. You can also say nyinyi is for in a question format. You say nyinyi mnaitwa nani? Nyinyi mnaitwa nani? Which is what are your names? Nyinyi mnaitwa nani? What are your names? And then you might say sisi tunaitwa Jeremy, or you might say sisi tunaitwa BlackHotFire, which is we are BlackHotFire, and that is exactly what it would be. If someone is asking yeye anaitwa nani, yeye is for he or she. It's for the third person. It's for the third person, he or she. So yeye anaitwa nani? That would be what is his or her name? What is his or her name? And the answer would be yeye anaitwa Jeremy. Yeye anaitwa Jeremy, which is he or she is called Jeremy. He or she is called Jeremy, and it is not any difficult. Remember, yeye in Swahili, the language itself, when talking about the third person, it is not gender specific. So if you say yeye anataka chakula, you wouldn't know he or she wants some food. You wouldn't know. Yeye is one for the third person, the pronoun for the third person, singular. So if I did say yeye anataka chakula, then that would be he or she wants food. He or she wants food. Yeye anataka chakula, then that would be he or she wants food. He or she wants food, and it is not even difficult. It becomes pretty easy, and it is understood in that regard. It is understood simply in that regard, and it is not any difficult. So does anyone have a question? Kunaya Alia Nasoli, if anyone has a question, please ask. I have shared with you the lesson, the link to the lesson. This is the link to the lesson. You can just copy it from the comment, and maybe perhaps you can learn a thing or two about the pronouns. And these are personal pronouns. I have said that the pronouns, these are the words that represent the noun. And because they represent the noun, they are known as viwakilishi. Wakilisha is a Swahili word which means to represent. Wakilisha is a Swahili word, it means to represent. So if anyone says ninataka kuwakilisha, that would be I want to represent. Remember, we have the syllable ku. The syllable ku, it shows the verb in action. So you said kuwakilisha, that means to represent. It is equated to to. To, you can have that as ku in Swahili. If you say kula is a root verb for it. So if I said ninataka kula, that would be I want to eat. So kukula is to eat, and it is not difficult. I think with the more you study and the more you commit yourself to learning the language, it becomes easier with time, or it becomes much more ingrained in your mind or in your brain once you are able to do that. I always remind us we have so many languages on the continent. We have over 1,500 languages on the continent. If we go to like Nigeria, it's quite interesting. We strive towards unity. We strive towards unity, and sometimes when you have all these languages, it might become difficult until we have a language of choice, which unites people from different backgrounds, from different areas, geographical backgrounds, and it can unite people in that regard. So we have the 5 vowels. Once again, use your palm. Always when you put up your palm like this, or when you look at your palm like this, please remember these are the 5 vowels in Swahili that you're looking at. The vowel A can represent the 3rd person singular. The vowel U can represent the 2nd person singular. The vowel E can also represent the 3rd person when you're talking about non-living things. These are what you simply need to remember, and simply put at the back of your mind, because I do believe it is very, very important. And I do believe that you can get to learn and you can get to practice and ingrain things in your mind very, very easily. We shall take a break and we shall enjoy a song. It is known as Nisamehe. Nisamehe is a phrase. Anytime you hear a phrase starting with ni, the ni points to I. The ni is syllable ni, it's n and I. So any phrase that you hear that starts with the syllable ni, it points to self, it points to I. It points to self, it points to I. So if someone says ni nataka chakula, and that will be I want food. If someone says ni nataka maji, then that will be I want water. So that is therefore how you get to represent it, and it is not difficult. That is simply how you get to represent it, and it becomes even much more easier, and it is not complicated. It is very, very easy. It is not complicated, and that is just the way you get to to represent it. If you do have a question, please ask. If not, let's enjoy some music. Some Swahili tune. It's known as Nisamehe. It means please. It means forgive me. And this is the jam right here. Let me know what your thoughts are about this particular one. And as always, you can also check it out on our YouTube. Just search for Nisamehe, and it will actually pop up. And it is actually a beautiful tune.
Tulianza na tabasamu, kisha ukimya ukakuwa kati yetu. Nilikusikia, sikusikiliza. Mimi nilijibu haraka, moyo ukavunjika. Ulinipa ishara ndogo ndogo, mimi nikapita kama sijasikia. Maneno yakawa kama ukuta, na hisia zako zikawa mbali. Nisamehe, najua nilikosea, shokula moyo wangu. Kila siku natamani ningeupata msamaha wako, moyo wangu ukapate utulivu, nikureje bila hofu. Niseme ukweli sasa, nilichelewa kuamka. Nisamehe, moyo wangu unalia. Nisamehe, usiniache peke yangu. Najua nilikosea. Rudi upumzike nami. Nilikosea, sasa nafahamu. Ukosefu wangu ulikuwa mkubwa, sikutilia maanani maneno na hisia zako. Nilipenda kwa pupa, nikachora maumivu nyumbani. Kila ukisema sikiliza, mimi nilisikia kimya. ila chozi uliloficha limebaki ndani ya kifua. Nisamehe, najua nilikosea, shauku la moyo wangu. Kila siku natamani ningeupata msamaha wako, moyo wangu ukapate utulivu, nikurejee bila hofu. Niseme ukweli sasa, nilichelewa kuamka. Moyo wangu unalia, usiniache peke yangu. Najua nilikosea, rudi upumzike nami. Nipe nafasi moja tu nisafishe kilichovunjika. Nitamjenga upya yule aliyekuwa hajui kupenda. Nitasema pole pole, nitasikia hadi mwisho. Ukisema umeshachoka, moyo wangu utaelewa. Moyo wangu unalia, usiniache peke yangu. Najua nilikosea, rudi upumzike nami.
Yes, another wonderful song, and I always do say that if you do Swahili music and artists, especially from Tanzania, they are actually the best. The most popular Tanzanian artist, it goes by the name Diamond Platinums. We also do have another artist known as Harmonize. We also do have Ali Kiba, Alikiba, Ali Kiba. So you can train yourself some Swahili simply by checking out Swahili music on that particular on YouTube, and you will be able to also catch up and find out what is going on with them and what they are singing about. Even maybe perhaps for songs with subtitles, because for subtitles you can simply see what they are talking about, and you can also maybe perhaps read the subtitles, and therefore you will be able to see what that is also about. So welcome back once again to the Swahili class for the weekend. Kama uko na swali tafadhali uliza. There's a whole lot of things that have been happening, especially with the World Cup. There was a first game. I'm not a big soccer fan, but there was a first game with Mexico and South Africa, and there were a whole lot of red cards on that particular one, and has been called the most the dirtiest opener for the World Cup in World Cup history, such that you have in the first game, and there's a whole lot of foul play, and there's a whole lot of red cards, and they say that is not the way to start the matches. But there has also been a question about the logistics, if you get to ask me, because if the game is being held in 3 countries, which is Mexico, the US, and Canada, there is a whole lot of confusion, and also logistical challenges. So, like I do say, I'm not a big soccer fan myself, but when I look at also the organizing, and you're organizing a World Cup in 3 countries, the logistical challenge must also come up. And there has also been an issue of visas, for FIFA, which is the federation for the world football. They were saying they themselves are not, responsible or, involved with procuring or helping the players get the visas. They are not involved with that because every country has its own right to admit or to refuse a right to admit, someone else, a foreigner. So we have had some individual players. For example, there was a player from Ghana, and this player was not allowed entry into Canada. And therefore, you're wondering, if you're a player and you've been chosen to actually go represent your country because you're quite a good footballer, and then you're not allowed to have, a visa for entry into the country, then where does that leave you? It becomes quite also confusing. So we have seen World Cups organized in a better way. For example, when we did have the World Cup in South Africa, that was actually a good show. When we did have it in Brazil, it was actually also a very good show. And now having these one organized in these three countries, there's a whole lot of confusion and things going on. But yes, we shall wait up. I don't know what team you're supporting. Please let me know. Out of the many teams that are at the World Cup, are participating at the World Cup, also let me know which team you are actually supporting. For personally myself, we do not have our country in the games. Kenya, we do poorly. We score poorly when it comes to soccer, and that is why we have not, we are not there. But you have teams such as South Africa, you have Ghana, among many other African countries. I think there are about 10 of them, and we do have some hopes. West Africa, it's known to be very good at soccer, and we do have some hopes with our countries from West Africa and also North Africa. It has wonderful teams. For example, Morocco is a good team, and Algeria also a good team, and others at the top there. But when it comes to East Africa, we say premium tiers dust, and we are not pretty good at the game of soccer. In the U.S., also surprisingly, in the U.S. is also not known to be big on soccer. So I would rather they would have had it at some other different places like Argentina or South America is big on soccer like Argentina. But nonetheless, anyway, there are a whole lot of things going on in the world right now with the war going on, in Ukraine, in Iran, and other parts of the world, in the Middle East, not really a good time for sports. But yes, welcome back to class. This is a Saturday Swahili class, being on the 13th day of the month of June, the year 2026. How are you feeling? How are you doing? My name is Pikes, and feel free at any point to interject and ask a question. We are learning about pronouns, which we call viwakilishi. Wakilisha is a phrase that means to represent, and therefore, if you do say something is kiwakilishi, then it means that this thing is actually just a representation. It represents something else, and therefore the pronouns these they represent the nouns, and we shall be looking into that. So if we do look at these the notes that we are using for today, we have talked about the personal pronouns. And they are not difficult to understand. I have said for the personal pronouns, if you're talking about the first person, we normally do say Mimi or MIMI. Some years back, we had a lady, a part of the BlackHotFire network. Her name was Mimi. I don't know where she disappeared off to, but do hope that she's doing wonderful. But Mimi simply represents I or me. It represents I or it represents me. For example, if I were to say Mimi sitaki chakula, then that would be I do not want food. I do not want food. If someone says Mimi sitaki chochote, then that would be I do not want anything. Do not want anything. You might also say Mimi sitaenda shule, and that would be me myself, I will not go to school. I will not go to school. Someone might also say mimi ni mkulima hodari. Mimi ni mkulima hodari, and that would be I am a great farmer. I am a great farmer. So whatever they do follow with Mimi, then you know that that represents I. And then you can also use maybe perhaps the syllable ni, the syllable ni. So the syllable ni that also captures, and it captures I, it captures I, it captures I. So therefore, if you do say ninataka chakula, it means I want food. It means I want food. If you do say ninaenda shule, it means I am going to school. If you do say nitakula chakula, it means I will eat food. I will eat food. And that is simply what it is. It is not difficult. It is simply very easy. And you can be able to practice and become perfect the more you get to do your exercise with these particular words and phrases in Swahili. The second person is wewe. So you might say wewe utakula chakula, which is you will eat food. You will eat food, and that will be wewe utakula chakula, and that would be you will eat food. And that can also be represented by the vowel u. So the vowel u also represents you. So therefore, if we do say you will eat food, then that would be u takula chakula, u takula chakula, and it is very, very easy for you to be able to remember that. If you want to say u nataka maji, then that would be you want water. You want water. If you say u naenda mbali, the u is for you. Naenda mbali, unaenda mbali, then that would be you are going far. If you talk about the second person, but now in the plural form, you would say nyinyi or ninyi. So nyinyi, for example, nyinyi mnaenda wapi? Nyinyi mnaenda wapi? And that would be where are you going? But now you in the plural sense of it, you in the plural sense of it, and it happens to be a very, very good way of simply getting to ask people when you're talking about a group. Or you might say nyinyi mnatoka wapi? Nyinyi mnatoka wapi? Then that would be where are you guys from? Where are you guys from? And then they would respond and say sisi, which is we. Sisi tumetoka mbali. Sisi tumetoka mbali. Then that is we are from afar. We are from afar away. Sisi tumetoka mbali. We are from far away. We are from far away. Swahili is not difficult. I always keep on emphasizing. There are so many ways in which you can be able to learn the language. And I always do insist that you can practice. And once you do practice, you become better and become perfect at the language. And therefore, I urge you to simply keep on practicing the language and becoming better. For the third person, once again, final time. For the third person, we do say yeye. And for this third person, we are talking about he. We are talking about he or she. So therefore, if you do say yeye anaenda shule, then that would be he or she is going to school. He or she is actually going to school. He or she is going to school, and it is not difficult. Remember, in a conversation, in simple conversations, there are things that there are Swahili words that will actually come up every now and then. Some of those particular popular words in Swahili, for example, myself. Therefore, myself, I, you would say mimi, or you might say ni. Something else that will come up, when you wake up, since the time that you wake up in the morning, you might say, nimeamka salama. Nimeamka is I have woken. I have woken. Amka is to rise or to wake up. Amka, A-M-K-A, amka is to wake up or to rise up. So if you do say ni meamka, then that would be I have woken. Or you might say mimi nimeamka salama, then that would be I have woken up well. Because salama means well. Salama means okay. Salama means all right. Salama means all right. So up to that particular point, we together. To that particular point, je tuko pamoja. Pamoja is a word that means together. So if someone says je tuko pamoja, then that would be we together. We together. Je tuko pamoja. Je tuko pamoja. If we are together, and that is in the affirmative, you do say ndio. Ndio simply means yes. Ndio, it simply means yes. Hapana, H-A-P-A-N-A, it means no. So therefore, if I were to ask you, are we together? You can respond and say ndio, or you can respond and say hapana. You can respond and say ndio, or you can respond and say hapana. That is two ways in which you can respond. And if you do say hapana, then we understand that we are not together, and you do understand that you do not understand me. But yes, if you understand me, then you would say ndio. So many words that will pop up in a conversation, day-to-day conversation. If you're talking to your brother, you would say ndugu. You would say ndugu. For example, if I were to say, je, unanielewa? Je, unanielewa? Je, the syllable the syllable J, which is a J and E, these cues the start of a question. It cues the start of a question, or it marks, or it signifies the start of a question. So if I did say je, unanielewa, or je, tuko pamoja, that is, do you understand me? Do you understand me? And then you do say ndio, which is yes. Ndio, which is N-D-I-O. Ndio, it simply means yes. Ndio, it simply means yes. So that would be ndio, ninakuelewa ndugu. Ndugu is for brother. Kaka is also for brother. So ndugu is for brother, and kaka is also brother. So therefore, if you're talking about understanding someone, and you say ndio ndugu, ndio ndugu says ndio ndugu simply means yes brother. If I did say ndio dada, it simply means yes sister. So dada is for sister. But if you're talking about a woman, an elderly woman who happens to be like a mother figure, then that would be ndio dada. Ndio dada, which is ndio mama, which is to a motherly figure. A motherly figure. If you're talking to a woman and she's an elderly woman, a mother figure, she does not have to be a biological mom, but she is an elderly lady, you would say ndio mama. Ndio mama, which is yes mom, yes mother, or yes mom. That is exactly how you do get to respond, and that is simply how you do get to say it. And it is very, very important that you get to understand that and also mark that at the back of your head, because ndio is for yes, and hapana is simply for no. Hapana is simply for no. Or if you say la mama, la is no. La is also equated to no. La can also be equated to no, and it is not difficult. Therefore, it is still very, very important that you get to check those particular affirmative and negative, and know that they will pop up in conversations during the day. At some point in a conversation, that will pop up in a conversation, and you might be saying yes, or you might be saying no, simply because someone is asking you about something. Je, unaelewa Kiswahili? Je, unaelewa Kiswahili? Do you understand? Do you understand Kiswahili? Do you understand the language? Do you understand Kiswahili language? You might say ndio, ni naelewa, which is yes, I do understand. Or you might say hapana, sielewi hata kidogo, which is no, I do not understand, even a small or a little bit. That is exactly what it is. Remember, if you're talking about also members of the family, I've told you about the brother. I've said that brother is for ndugu or kaka. For a sister, you would say dada. For a mother, you would say mama. For a father, you would say baba, B-A-B-A, baba. If you're talking about a cousin, you would say binamu. Binamu is for a cousin. If you're talking about a nephew, then you would say mpwa for a nephew. And if you're talking about a friend, you would say rafiki. So if I point to someone and say huyu ni rafiki yangu, if I pointed to someone and said huyu ni rafiki yangu, then that would be this is my brother. Huyu ni rafiki yangu. This is my brother. Or if you did say huyu ni, huyu ni rafiki yangu, that would be this is my friend. This is my friend. But the opposite of that, of course, happens to be an enemy. So if we're talking about an enemy, then that would be this is the enemy. This is the enemy. And that is simply how you refer to that in Swahili. Is just the way you refer to that in Swahili. So up to a particular point, do you understand? Do you understand? If you do understand, say ndio. If you do not understand, simply say hapana. And remember, Swahili is a very, very polite language. I always keep on reminding us. Swahili is a very, very polite language. And for a polite language, for example, if you're talking about something and you're asking for something, we would say tafadhali. Tafadhali simply means please. It means please. So if I did say nipe maji, give me water, tafadhali, then that would be give me water please. Nipe maji tafadhali, then that would be give me water please. If I were to say nipe maji kidogo, then that would be give me a little bit amount of water, because kidogo is for quantitative and it shows just a little bit. Nipe maji kidogo, then that is for just a little bit, and it is not any difficult. The more you practice, the easier it becomes, and the more it becomes ingrained into your mind, and that is just with time. You just need time. Don't be in a rush to learn the language. It is a beautiful language. Do not be in a rush to learn the language, but please engage all the resources that you can find online and even offline. Please engage all those resources that you can find online and even offline, and they help you get better at the language, and that is just the way it is. So once again, we shall take another short break and enjoy some wonderful Swahili music. The name of this particular one is Zaidi. Zaidi means moreover or more than. It means more than. It means more than. So the name of the song is Zaidi ya, more than. Zaidi ya mshindi. Mshindi means a winner or a conqueror. If someone says you are more than a conqueror, then they would say wewe ni zaidi ya mshindi. Wewe ni zaidi ya mshindi. So wewe ni zaidi ya mshindi, and that is just the way you put it across, which means you are more than a conqueror or you are more than a winner. Let's enjoy the song, and then we shall be right back learning more about these particular nouns. Sorry, pronouns. We do have even the possessive ones, and we shall be looking into that as well.
Asubuhi ikinipiga, mara siti hofu, moyo wangu uko imara. Nikiwa chini nasimama, nilipotea njia kidogo, nikapata maumivu, lakini macho yangu yameona kesho iliyo bora. Nikidondoka nainuka, nikichoka nasonga, kila doa linanifanya mwangaza wangu zaidi. Mimi ni zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, kupambana nitazidi, nitainuka juu. Mimi ni zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, na nikirudia tena nitafika juu. Watu wanasema haiwezekani, mimi nasema ngoja. Kila jeraha ni darasa, kila machozi ni nguvu. Mikono yangu bado ina nguvu, miguu yangu bado inacheza. Nikipigwa na upepo mkali, ninageuka kuwa moto. Nikidondoka nainuka, nikichoka nasonga, kila doa linanifanya mwangaza wangu zaidi. Mimi zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, kupambana nitazidi, nitainuka juu. Mimi ni zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, na nikirudia tena nitafika juu. Usiku kinibana, sitacha ndoto zangu. Moyo wangu ni askari, unaimba ndani yangu. Nitarudi, nitarudi, nikiwa na nguvu mpya. Nitarudi, nitarudi, na tabasamu usoni. Mimi ni zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, kupambana nitazidi, nitainuka juu. Mimi ni zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, na nikirudia tena nitafika juu. Mimi ni zaidi, zaidi ya mshindi, kupambana nitazidi, nitainuka juu.
Yes, and that is a beautiful song, a very, very, very beautiful song, which means Mimi, ni. If someone says Mimi ni, they simply means I am. Mimi ni, it simply means I am. So, like we are learning, because today we are learning about pronouns. If someone says Mimi ni, and then they proceed to describe themselves, then that will be Mimi ni, and that is I am. Mimi ni. For example, if I were to introduce myself and say, Mimi ni mwalimu, Mimi ni, this is Mimi, M-I-M-I, this is a Mimi ni, that phrase becomes I am. And then you proceed to say wherever you are, whatever you are after that. For example, Mimi ni mkulima, if I were a farmer, I would say, Mimi ni mkulima hodari, which is I am a good farmer. If I was to say mimi ni mwanafunzi, mwanafunzi is actually a student. So therefore, if I was to say mimi ni mwanafunzi, that is just a way of getting to introduce yourself. To introduce yourself. If you say mimi ni mgeni, then that would be I am a visitor. I am a visitor. Mimi ni. So that is how you introduce yourself. For example, maybe you wanted to get someone's attention, and for you to get their attention, you would say hujambo. Hujambo, jina langu ni Spikes. For example, you would say hujambo. With this particular example, hujambo, jina langu ni Spikes, and then proceed to say what you are. For example, you might say mimi ni mwalimu, and that would be I am a teacher, because mwalimu is a teacher. So mimi ni, that is for mimi. Mimi is actually the pronoun for the first person singular, mimi. So I might say mimi ni dereva, I am a driver. I might say mimi ni mwanasheria, that would be I am a lawyer. You might say mimi ni hakimu, hakimu is a judge. So you might say mimi ni hakimu, that would be I am a judge. You might also say mimi ni mtalii. Mimi ni mtalii, then that would be I am a tourist. For example, you went to a place, and you on a tour. You went on a tour to maybe the Dominican or wherever you might be going on tour to. And then you're saying mimi ni mtalii kutoka. Mimi ni mtalii kutoka Chicago, then that would be like I am a tourist from Chicago. Nimetembea humo nchini hivi karibuni. That would be I have just visited this particular country just recently. That is just the way you would say. But mimi simply points to self. Mimi. On that particular song that I've just played you, the title of the song is Mimi ni zaidi ya mshindi, and that would be mimi ni is I am, zaidi ya means more than. So therefore, mimi ni zaidi ya, more than a conqueror, then that would be mimi ni zaidi ya mshindi, and that is exactly what they are saying. But if you're talking about the first person in the plural, then you would say sisi ni. Sisi ni, so that is we are. Sisi ni, that would become we are. Sisi ni becomes we are. Sisi, sisi ni, then that becomes, it becomes we are. It simply becomes we are. It becomes we are. Sisi ni, it becomes we are, and it's not any difficult. It is very, very easy to understand, and that is just the way it Apologize once again for that interruption. Apologies. So I was just saying that if you're trying to introduce yourself, you would say mimi ni. Mimi ni, then mimi ni happens to be I am. If you are introducing yourself as a group, then you would say we are, which is sisi ni. Sisi ni, and that becomes we are. Sisi ni, it becomes we are. For example, if you're talking about we are students, then you would say sisi ni wanafunzi. You would say sisi ni wanafunzi. For example, maybe you're from a particular school, then you would say sisi ni wanafunzi kutoka shule ya upili, then that would be we are students from this and that secondary school. That is how you would say. Or sisi ni wanafunzi kutoka chuo kikuu, which is we are students from this and that university. And it is not difficult. I'll just keep on saying, for you to be able to get better at your language, what you just need to do is to practice. You need to practice, and the more you practice, you become perfect simply through just practicing. You become perfect by simply just practicing. It's not difficult. You can engage your friends, your family, your relatives, and once you do so, you become better versed with these particular pronouns, and they are not difficult to understand. Up to that particular point, do you have a question? Kama uko na swali tafadhali uliza. Kama uko na swali tafadhali uliza. If you have a question, please ask or kindly ask. If you have a question, please ask or kindly ask. If you have a question, please ask. If you have a question, please ask. Kama uko na swali tafadhali uliza. If you have a question, please ask. Does anyone have a question? Kama kuna aliye na swali, kama uko na swali, tafadhali uliza. If you have a question, please ask. We have the pronouns, and those are the pronouns. I have said can be used to represent the third person, singular. For example, naenda shule, then that would be he or she is going to school. That is a third person. That is a third person singular. The u represents the second person. The u represents the second person, and it is not complicated. It is actually very, very simple. What you just need to remember is that there are 5 vowels, and for these 5 vowels, the a can represent the third person singular, he or she. A does not represent any pronoun. E can represent the third person for a non-living. For example, you might be talking about gari. Gari is a car. Let's say gari inaenda haraka sana, or inaenda haraka sana. So the e can be used as to represent a noun. O cannot be used to represent a noun, but u can be used to represent the second person. For example, unapenda chakula gani? The u, the vowel u pointing to you, or the second person singular. Unapenda, unapenda chakula gani? That is simply a question. Unapenda chakula gani? That is what food do you like? What food do you like? So in that particular regard, the vowel u represents you. So what food do you like? Or someone might ask, unaenda wapi? U, naenda wapi? Unaenda wapi? Which is where. That is where are you going? Where are you going? That is, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? U, naenda wapi? and that would be where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? That is simply how you get to represent it, and it is not any difficult at all. So yes, I'm waiting for anyone that has a question or has an observation, because you might also note something that I might not have noted. So therefore, you might ask, and that would also be wonderful. So that might also be wonderful. Anyone with a question, please ask. Remember, this is on our BlackHotFire network. Please visit the official network website, www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. And this is the official network website. Once again, I keep on sharing these with you so that we are on the same page. We are on the same page. You can also turn on the notifications. You can turn on these notifications, and so that you are up to date with, just tap on this bell. You have subscribed to notifications. You can tap on the bell at the bottom, the red or the white bell at the bottom with the red icon. Tap onto that, and you can also, like I did say, visit the social community, because we do have the social network, and on the social network, you can connect with like-minded individuals on the network. You are looking to connect with people who are all about African unity, African progress, and the progress of our melanated people around the world. So just making these wonderful connections and supporting each other. That is exactly the way it is. For example, you might see on the social network, there is a post here about the financial architecture and how it affects the global financial architecture and how it affects Africa. You might also see about these the Ghost Fathers of the Batuk and other things that you find about the Congo, the Banyamulenge people, and so many other people about what is going on with xenophobia in South Africa. And something very interesting happened. South Africa got an ass whooping at the start, the opening match of the World Cup. And now people, the rest of the Africans, just remembered that South Africa has been sending out people, kicking out people from different African nationalities. So therefore, some of the fellow Africans were happy that South Africa got an ass whooping at the opener, because if you just are not concerned about the rest of the continent and the rest of the people, why should we be concerned about you winning a match? You ought to get an ass whooping. And that is exactly what they did. Got a 2-0. They were beaten 2-0 at the opening match, which was in Mexico against the host country, Mexico. And I would actually say it's a good look. And it was actually an interesting match. But then again, a whole lot of foul play, 3 red cards, and that is insane. But for those who love sports, we do say michezo. Michezo is our main sport, and therefore you might say ni, pointing to I, the ni, or mimi, say mimi ninapenda michezo, which is I love sports. I love sports. Mimi ninapenda michezo is I love sports. But you might say wewe unapenda michezo is you love sports, or you love games. Sports and games is the same thing. So if someone says unapenda mchezo, then that happens to be the same thing. We take a short break, enjoy a beautiful song. And this wonderful song, it is known as Sielewi, and it's a beautiful song according to me. Let me know what you think about it. And it is known as a Sielewi. Let me know if it's jamming or if it's not, and I would love to get your feedback on the same as well. Sielewi simply means I do not understand.
Nimeamka moyo mzito, kichwa kichwa changu kina barua za jana. Nilikuona nikacheka kidogo, lakini ndani kuna mvua. Uliposema it's okay, nilisheka barani. Macho yako yalinikosea, sikujua cha kusema, na kila nikikimbia rudi karibu zaidi. Nataka kuamini, lakini roho inalia. Sielewi roho yangu tena. Sielewi roho yangu tena. Baby, why you do me like that, girl? Sielewi roho yangu tena. Usinikaita, nikasita, nikaangalia majina yote nilitaka kusema I'm fine, lakini sauti ikanigoma. Kijani cha macho yako kimebaki moyoni mwangu, nikipumua kwa nguvu nasikia nimeshika hewa, na kila nikikimbia rudi karibu zaidi. Nataka kuamini, lakini roho inalia. Sielewi roho yangu tena. Sielewi roho yangu tena. Baby, why you do me like that? Sielewi roho yangu tena. Niseme ukweli sasa, sijui kama ni wewe au ni mimi. Nimechoka, kila njia inauma. Nipe muda kidogo, nipe nafasi ya kuota. If I stay, I might break. If I go, I still feel you. Sielewi roho yangu tena. Sielewi roho yangu tena. Baby, why you do me like that? Sielewi roho yangu tena.
Yes, that is a song, and it's known as a sielewi. Like I did say, if you're talking about negating something or negating a verb, the way you negate a verb is simply by adding the syllable C at the start of the root verb. For example, if you do say elewa, elewa simply means understand. Elewa, which is the vowel with the vowel e, elewa means to understand. Elewa means to understand. Understand means understand. Understand. So if someone says sitaelewa means I will not understand. If someone says sielewi, it means I do not understand. So if you're trying to negate, you're trying to negate any verb. If you're trying to negate any verb, the way you do so is by adding one of the ways to do so. That is not the only way, but one of the ways to negate that particular verb is by adding the syllable C, by adding the syllable C before the root verb as a prefix for the root verb. And it does not just come as a prefix for the root verb, it comes as a prefix for the tense marker. For example, you might say kula. Kula, if you say I will eat. If you say I will eat, that would be ni ta kula, nitakula, but which is I will eat. I will eat. But if you want to negate that, sentence, you want to make it into the negative, what you would do is C. You say C, the syllable C, then the tense marker for the future, and then kula. Kula is a root verb, and that would be I will not. I will not eat, and that would be I will not eat. Sitakula becomes I will not eat. Sitakula becomes I will not eat. So therefore, if someone wants to say nitakula chakula, which is I will eat food, and then someone else says apana sitakula chakula, then that will be in the negative, and it means they will not eat food. Hapana, si takula chakula. Hapana, si takula chakula, which is no, I will not eat food. Hapana, si takula chakula. Hapana, si takula chakula. You might also say soma. Soma is nitasoma. If you say ni is pointing to I. Li is a tense marker for the past, and then soma, nilisoma. So I read. If I was to say nilisoma kitabu, I read a book. Nilisoma kitabu, I read. Nilisoma. So, but if I wanted to negate that, I would use just the syllable si, and say si. Then you have the ku. Ku is the verb in action. And then soma, you did not do that verb. It was a verb in action. Sikusoma. I did not read. I did not read. So you have just moved it from the positive, and you have turned it into the negative. Sikusoma. If you're talking about eating and you ate, you ate food, you might say ni, pointing to I, ni. The tense marker is li for the past, li. Nilikula. Kula is eat. I ate. But if I did not eat, and you wanted to turn that into the negative, to negate that, you would say C, the consonant, the syllable C once again, the syllable C, then the tense marker for the past. The tense marker for the past is ku, the syllable ku. Si ku, and then we have the ku, that is a prefix for the root kula. You say si kukula. Kula is to eat. I did not eat. I did not eat. I did not eat. I did not eat. The same would apply for any other verb. For example, if you're talking about speak. Speak in Swahili, you do say ongea. Speak in Swahili, you do say ongea. Ongea. So, for example, if you're talking about the future and you say, I will speak, then you would say ni points to I, self, I, ni. Then the tense marker for the future is ta. That is the tense marker for the future. Ni ta, then say ni ta. And then the root verb is ongea. So therefore that will be I will speak. I will speak. I will speak. That happens to be nitaongea. But if you wanted to negate, you just wanted to put that in the negative, then you would have to use this negator. And the negator is the syllable C, which is an SI. And these are simply is used to negate. So therefore, you would say si taongea, that is in the future, and it simply means I will not speak. Then that happens to be si taongea. You put it down as si. Then the tense marker for the future is ta, and then the root verb is ongea. Therefore, that is I will not speak. I will not speak. All I will not talk. I will not speak. All I will not talk. And it is very, very easy. But first and foremost, we were learning about pronouns today. Like I did say, if you want a copy of the notes, I'll share them with you. And these are the notes. In case you're just wondering what notes I'm talking about, let me share these with you. These are the notes that I'm talking about. And therefore, we were learning about the personal pronouns. The first person pronoun, the first person singular and plural. The first person singular and the first person plural. The second person singular and the second person. The second person singular and the second person plural. And the third person singular and third person plural. So each personal pronoun has a singular and a plural form, which is the most important thing to appreciate. And we have said for I, we do say mimi, all that can also be represented by the syllable ni. Mimi, nitakula chakula, then that would be I will eat food. Mimi nitakula chakula. If you're talking about the first person plural, as we wrap up, the first person plural, then that would be sisi or we. For example, sisi tutakula chakula, that would be we will eat food. We will eat food. For example, you also to say mimi ni mgeni, I am a visitor. Mimi ni mgeni, that is I am a visitor. But if you're talking about we are visitors, then you would say sisi ni wageni. Sisi ni wageni. Sisi ni wageni. And that is simply how you get to introduce yourself. Maybe perhaps you say that you're a visitor. And someone is asking nyinyi ni kina nani, which is who are you. If someone is asking nyinyi ni kina nani, then that happens to be who are you guys, and you can say sisi ni wageni katika shule hii, which is we are friends in this particular school, or ndani ya shule hii, or katika shule hii. And that is simply the way you get to say who you are. Sisi ni wageni. And that is, if you're talking about like self, you say mimi is I, that is for I. So you might say mimi ni mgeni, which is I am a visitor. But mimi ninaitwa Spikes, then that would be I am known as Spikes, or I am called Spikes, I am known as Spikes. Mimi ni Spikes. Mimi ninaitwa Spikes. That is the way you would say it. If we are a group, then you say sisi tunaitwa. If you're two brothers and you're Mike and Alex, so you say sisi tunaitwa Mike and Alex. That is just the way you say. Mike and Alex is Mike and Alex. Sisi tunaitwa Mike and Alex. That is just the way you introduce yourself. Maybe perhaps it was just two of you, and you're just trying to introduce yourselves. Those are the pronouns. Once again, I have a copy of the notes, and I share with them the link in case you just want to go straight into that and learn more on your own personal time. You can, please do, and that will help you get better in understanding of the beautiful language of Swahili. Does anyone have a question? Kuna aliye na swali? Does anyone have a question? Kuna mtu aliye na swali? That is just the way we migrated to Swahili. Does anyone have a question? Kuna mtu aliye na swali? Then that would be, does anyone have a question? And I would love to know. Ningependa nijue kama kuna aliye na swali. If there's anyone with a question, ningetaka kumjibu, which is I would like to answer them. Please make sure you visit the official network website, even as you wind up. It's www.BlackHotFireNetwork.com. Once you are on there, please create a profile on the community page, and also feel free to interact and engage, productively on that particular platform, because you always do say that iron sharpens iron, and once you are on the platform, you will meet with like-minded individuals who think Black excellence and think African unity and Black unity and progress. And that is why we do have this particular platform, because we inspire collective African consciousness, just people awakening and uniting and working together, because that is the most essential part of it for us to thrive as a melanated family globally. So thanks once again. If you missed previous episodes, they are available on this YouTube channel. Please visit the archive of those previous shows. Some of them they go in depth into the understanding of our pronouns, and some of them will also help you understand the verbs. You do have all these different subjects and classes that you have had, and all of them are to help you just get better at your Swahili. My name is Spikes. It has been a delight having you on the show, and I never take your company for granted. Thank you so much for your support to the BlackHotFire Network, media for the 21st century. If you were to get yourself a t-shirt like this, a BlackHotFire Network t-shirt, you can get that on the network website, and it's actually a good thing when you also patronize the network, because it helps us keep the lights on and keep it pushing, keep it moving right here on the BlackHotFire Network. Much peace and love. I want to wish you a happy and a productive rest of the day. Make sure you join me tomorrow, same place, same time on this particular network, and we shall learn together. Invite a friend, invite a colleague, invite a family member, whomever you want to invite. Tafadhali waalike wote, which is please invite them all, and we will be happy to connect with you next time. Much peace and love. Enjoy the rest of your day and take care of yourselves. I think he will be doing a show. I'm not quite sure, but I think Mr. BlackHotFire himself will be doing a show. You can check that out and just tap on the notifications, and you will be notified when that is about to happen. So much peace and love. Till next time. Kwaheri.
nikasita, nikaangalia majina yote nilitaka kusema I'm fine.